of a delinquent, criminal-minded boy, then you are up and you're failing as a father, tipster.
If T.I. would have kicked that boy last year, that boy wouldn't have had to jack him up today.
And King is behaving and going on with these kind of actions and inactions and traits and characteristics.
The drama surrounding Charleston White's explosive response to King Harris didn't just reignite an old hip-hop feud. It exposed the fragile line between loyalty,
But I told T.I. he should have kicked that boy when last year.
disrespect, and the generational divide shaping rap culture today. What started as a familiar back and forth between two veteran rappers suddenly transformed into something far more chaotic when a young voice stepped into a battle that had been simmering for nearly 20 years. And once that happened, the internet turned into a battlefield where history, family pride, and personal pain collided in real time. It all begins with a question that shook social media the moment it surfaced.
This song he can have right now. Boy can't find no better this song.
What happens when someone's son jumps into a decades-old rap rivalry and drags a dead parent into the argument? In February 2026, that question stopped being hypothetical. It became a viral moment that sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world. To understand how things reached this point, you have to rewind the clock almost 2 decades. The tension between 50 Cent and T.I. didn't start overnight.
Got the best rapping in it. Tell T.I. I got it the best.
Back in 2007, during an interview that would echo across hip-hop for years, 50 Cent openly questioned the idea of anyone crowning themselves the king of hip-hop. To most listeners, the message was obvious. T.I., fresh off his album King and widely known as the self-proclaimed King of the South, took the comment as a direct shot. From that moment on, the rivalry quietly took root. Over the years, the tension flared up in different ways. Diss lines, interviews, and subtle jabs kept the rivalry alive even during long periods of silence. In 2008, when T.I. faced federal gun charges and ultimately served a shorter sentence than expected, 50 Cent hinted through lyrics that something about the situation didn't add up. The implication was clear enough that whispers of snitching followed T.I. around the conversation for years.
T.I. didn't forget.
Then in 2010, when T.I. and his wife Tiny Harris were caught in another legal situation involving drug possession,
If T.I. would have kicked that boy last year, that boy wouldn't have had to jack him up today.
50 Cent once again jumped online with commentary that questioned their choices and their loyalty to each other. At that point, the rivalry had become less about music and more about reputation. Eventually, the two men cooled things down through mutual friends, and for a while the beef seemed buried. But in hip-hop, buried beef rarely stays buried forever. Years later, in 2020, T.I. publicly challenged 50 Cent to a versus battle. At the time, versus events were some of the most anticipated musical showdowns in the culture, bringing legendary artists together to celebrate their catalogs. Fans were excited by the possibility, but 50 Cent laughed it off publicly, brushing the idea aside with jokes and memes. T.I., however, kept pressing the issue again and again. The tension never truly faded. Fast forward to February 2026, and the situation exploded back into public view. During an appearance on the Nightcap podcast, T.I. once again accused 50 Cent of avoiding a versus battle. To him, it seemed simple.
Damn it, I told T.I. he should have kicked that boy when last year.
Two icons stepping into the arena to prove whose catalog was stronger. But to 50 Cent, the challenge appeared to be just another attempt to drag him into a fight he had no interest in having. Instead of answering with music, 50 responded the way he often does, through social media. Within hours, he posted clips referencing T.I.'s past legal troubles and captioned them with a warning telling the Atlanta rapper to keep his name out of the conversation. The message was sharp, sarcastic, and unmistakably 50 Cent. The internet immediately sensed the storm coming. T.I. fired back in interviews and online posts, insisting he had evidence that could challenge 50 Cent's own reputation. The two rappers were once again locked in a familiar cycle of accusation and response. But what nobody expected was that the next voice to enter the fight wouldn't be another rapper, it would be T.I.'s own son. King Harris, only 21 years old at the time, suddenly inserted himself into the conflict through a furious Instagram rant. His motivation was personal. After seeing 50 Cent post an unflattering photo of his mother, Tiny Harris, King felt the need to defend her publicly. But the way he chose to do it shocked even longtime fans of rap beef. In the middle of his rant, King brought up 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, who died in 1983 when 50 was just 8 years old. The death of 50's mother has long been one of the most painful chapters in his life story, something he has spoken about repeatedly in interviews and music. When King referenced her grave in his posts, the internet reacted instantly. For many people, that crossed a line that simply shouldn't be crossed. Some fans defended King, saying he was just standing up for his mother the way any loyal son might. Others felt the moment was deeply disrespectful, arguing that bringing the dead into a rap feud violated an unwritten rule that has existed in hip-hop for decades. But while the internet debated, one voice came roaring into the conversation louder than almost anyone else. Charleston White. Known for his blunt, unapologetic commentary, White quickly took a side, and it wasn't the one many people expected. Instead of supporting King Harris, he publicly backed 50 Cent. In a series of live streams and posts, White criticized King for inserting himself into a war between two veterans who had been clashing since before King was old enough to understand the history. White's argument was simple but brutal. He believed King had stepped into grown men's business without understanding the consequences. But his criticism didn't stop there. Charleston White turned his attention directly toward T.I., arguing that the real issue wasn't just King's behavior, it was the lack of discipline behind it. According to White, King's actions reflected a pattern that had been building for years. He even referenced the now famous Atlanta Falcons game incident from 2023, when King publicly argued with his parents during a live stream and ended up in a physical confrontation with his father. To White, that moment had already revealed the cracks. He argued that if T.I. had taken stronger action back then, King might not have felt comfortable stepping into a feud with someone as relentless and strategic as 50 Cent. In White's eyes, the situation wasn't just about disrespect. It was about parenting, accountability, and the dangers of growing up surrounded by fame and attention. Then, White made a move that pushed the controversy even further. To illustrate what he believed was hypocrisy, he posted a reference to T.I.'s own deceased sister, essentially mirroring the tactic King had used against 50 Cent. His reasoning was straightforward, though extremely controversial. If someone believed it was acceptable to bring up a dead parent in a public feud, then no family member should be considered off-limits. The internet erupted again. Some people saw White's move as a harsh but logical response that proved his point. Others accused him of escalating the situation purely for attention. Either way, the debate only made the entire feud grow larger. Meanwhile, 50 Cent handled the chaos in the most predictable way possible, by refusing to treat it like a traditional rap battle at all. Instead of releasing diss tracks, he flooded social media with memes, edited photos, and sarcastic captions. He compared King Harris to cartoon characters, posted childhood pictures, and mocked the situation in ways that turned serious insults into internet jokes. For fans who have followed 50's career, the strategy felt familiar. Over the years, he has built a reputation for dominating conflicts without relying on music. Instead, he weaponizes social media, turning every argument into content that spreads across the internet faster than any song ever could. While his rivals drop diss tracks, 50 drops memes, and somehow he still ends up controlling the conversation. At the same time, the Harris family took the opposite approach. T.I. began releasing new music aimed directly at 50 Cent, including tracks that warned a sleeping giant had been awakened. His sons King and Demony joined the campaign with songs of their own, turning the family's response into a coordinated wave of music and visuals. The timing was impossible to ignore, especially as T.I. prepared to release what he described as his final album, Kill the King, after more than 2 decades in the rap game. The result was a spectacle that blurred the line between real conflict and promotional strategy. Every new track dropped just as the online conversation reached another peak. Every meme from 50 Cent sparked another round of debate. And Charleston White continued offering commentary from the sidelines, sometimes acting like a critic, other times like someone eager to jump directly into the fight. By the time the dust began to settle, the the feud had become more than just another rap argument. It had turned into a cultural conversation about respect, family loyalty, and the evolving rules of hip-hop conflict in the social media era. Because in today's world, rap beef doesn't just happen in songs anymore. It unfolds through live streams, Instagram posts, viral clips, and endless comment sections where millions of fans analyze every word, every meme, and every reaction. In that environment, even a single post can ignite a storm powerful enough to revive rivalries that once seemed long forgotten. And now the biggest questions remain unanswered. Did King Harris make a mistake by stepping into a feud that began long before he was born, or was he simply defending his mother the way any son would? Was Charleston White speaking uncomfortable truths about discipline and respect, or was he just pouring gasoline on a fire for attention? And perhaps most interesting of all, was 50 Cent quietly winning the entire battle by refusing to treat it like a battle at all? Let me know what you think. Did King Harris cross the line when he brought up 50 Cent's late mother, or do you believe family loyalty justified his response? And who do you think handled the situation better, T.I. and his sons with music, or 50 Cent with memes and silence? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most dramatic hip-hop stories unfolding right now, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next breakdown of the culture's biggest moments.